Hi, I'm Stephen King, the founder of Movement Assessment Technologies, and it's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the Measurz Training Portal and the Measurz app, the app which is going to help you assess your way. And we're going to talk a fair bit about that in this training portal and through our live educational sessions that we'll do each month around the Measurz app. So I'm super excited to have you on board and really looking forward to following your journey with the Measurz app, helping you with help your clients reach their goals. Now, I guess the Measurz app is a culmination of my almost 20 years in the health and fitness industry now, and some of the frustrations and problems that I've seen from teaching over 15,000 health and fitness professionals around the world with movement assessment technologies. And that's it. We're often struggling to get our clients engaged in the process and helping them reach their goals, which is the main reason we got into this profession in the first place. We often find it really hard to get great assessment done because we're all time poor. And so a lot of the technology and apps that we use in practice often slow us down. But with Measurz, we're going to change that, where we can start to speed up your workflow. And I guarantee it will save you at least 2 hours each week by using the Measurz app. That's how excited I am to be able to transform it, because I know the number one thing that I hate doing is writing client notes. So using the Measurz app, we can perform your full assessment your way. We can take the history from the person, and we can also get those notes out of the system and to wherever you want really, really quickly. So super excited to be able to show you how we're going to do that over the next few videos in this module, and as you start to incorporate into your practice with your patients and with your clients. So what is the Measurz app? The Measurz app is an app that contains over 400 different assessments involving 16 different capacities that each of your patients and clients need to achieve their individual needs, wants, and goals. And we're going to show you how you can go through all of that. We've got videos in this training portal and text explanations for most of the tests that we can perform in the app. If you want to learn more about how you can perform all these tests and the reasoning behind them, we've also got our MAT courses, which are a great place to be able to learn how to perform all these assessments, either online or live face-to-face courses around the world. So really looking forward to seeing you as part of those too. Now, we talked about how the Measurz app can help you speed up, and we've got some different ways to do that in the app. We've obviously got our templates built in there, and we've got our templates that we've created at MAT to help you get started. But also with Measurz, as the tagline says, you can assess your way, and you can create your own templates to streamline your workflow. Whether that's you and patients and clients that you often see day to day and creating templates to help speed it up, or if you're a business owner, helping your team deliver the same assessment that you would to hopefully upskill them and create some standardization across your business, which is really exciting that we're able to do this now as well. The main thing we wanted to do with Measurz, though, is to make assessment sexy and fun. Often something you don't associate with assessment, but with all the training tools and products that you can utilize alongside and as part of the Measurz app, really hoping that we can create some engagement, make assessment fun, because a great assessment process starts up a great treatment, training and rehabilitation process, and make sure we get great outcomes for people along the way, tracking their progression, which the app does really nicely visually. So again, I just wanted to welcome you to the Measurz Training Portal and to the Measurz app. Thanks for joining us, the MAT family, and really looking forward to helping you help more people reach their goals. In this video, I'm going to take you through how you set up your own account, which is what you'll need to do before you start assessing your patients and clients. Now, if you have any questions along the way, we've created a number of great resources around the Measurz app to help you get started. And that includes obviously this training portal, and we've got some step-by-step approach in how you can set up the MAT app. We've also got protocols for the 400 plus tests that are in the app itself. We also have our Measurz community, which is a great place to go and interact with all the other Measurz users, and that's in the helpful links at the top of this training portal. We also have a Measurz and MAT help portal, which has got a list of commonly or frequently asked questions that you can also refer to, and that's accessible via the link in the helpful links, or you can also access that in our chat widget, which is in the bottom left-hand side of the corner of this screen. If you also want to chat with us, that's a great place to do that as well. We also have a feature request and a roadmap, so you can keep up to date with all of the great things we're doing with Measurz and how we're progressing it, seeing what's coming next, and request features that you'd love to see in the app. And we'd always love to hear from you because we're creating this app for you and Measurz users. So as I said, before we get started, assessing our clients, we need to create our profile, and I'm going to start to take you through that right now. So when you come to the home screen of the app, I'm going to assume that if you're in this training portal, you've already signed up. If not, and you're having issues, make sure you reach out via the chat button in the bottom left-hand corner of this page, but it's quite straightforward. But if you create an account, like I have here, linked to my Google authentication, so all I simply do is tap that button. If you've created it with an email and password, you obviously enter that in on the home screen and push login. But I'm just going to go ahead and authenticate this with my Google account here, and that'll log me in to the app. Now, if you haven't been in before, it will take you to the profile settings to set this up, or if you try and assess a client and haven't set this up, it will also take you there first. But if you want to locate your account, you just head to the, you just click in the top left-hand corner of the app there, go to settings and go to my accounts. And you can see my profile is already set up here with a nice picture of Carl, my golden retriever cross. And you come in here and enter in your details. So obviously you pop in your name, your phone number, your email address, which will be the same one that you use to log into the app. And then this next section here is super important because you can't change this once you've created your account. So make sure you get this right first time. So you can come in there and you can either select metric or centimeters in that case, or you can select imperial or inches, and same thing with kilograms or pounds. That's really important because that's how the app's going to display the data in your app when you're working with your patients and clients. So make sure you select the one that's most appropriate for you when you're setting up the account. Tip number one. Obviously, you can then go ahead and put your location in there. You can also enter in your business details too. And this is really important because this is going to go to the top right-hand corner of your Measurz reports that you send to your clients. So make sure you pop that in there as well because that's going to populate it. With the profile picture, you can see that I've got a picture of Carl in there. This is actually a great spot to put your business logo because that's going to go onto the top left-hand corner of the page. If you don't have one, or you prefer to have a picture of yourself on the top of the report, if you're a solo practitioner working with your clients, go ahead and pop a picture of yourself in there as well, and that'll get populated onto the report as well. You can also put any other infographics or things in there that you think might be useful for your patients or clients that you're working with. Okay, and then once you've done all that, you just hit save, and as soon as you do that, that'll update your profile and you're ready to get testing. Pretty simple. In this video, we're going to talk about our Measurz Web Portal. And this was a feature that I was really excited to build out because I think it can really save you hours each week with your patients and clients performing not only an awesome assessment using the Measurz app, but also using this web portal to get your notes done in a matter of minutes, not hours each week. So it's really, really exciting to do that. Literally in the click of a button, about 3 seconds, you can copy the data out and put it into your other patient, client, athlete management systems. So it's really intuitive, really easy to use, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are doing with it and how much time it is giving you back each week to do more of the things that you love. So when we come into the web portal, you'll come into the home page here, and obviously you've got some direct links there to download the app. You can do that, and then you can either enter in your email and password there, or if you've set it up with your Google authentication, you can just push that button and it'll log you straight in. You'll notice when it takes you straight in, it takes you straight into this thing called the sessions inbox. And this is the thing that I'm really excited about. It's got all the sessions in there that you haven't uploaded into your other systems. So obviously you can store your data securely in the Measurz system. There's no issues with that. But I know a lot of people want to get it in with all their other data and all their other notes into the systems they're already currently using. Now, we have got some direct integrations coming, but the reason why I wanted to release this first is because I didn't think it was fair to penalise some people who aren't using the systems which have better APIs and still give everyone the ability to get the data out super quickly. So when you come in here, if you've got a session that you've already performed in here, you'll see it automatically loads up in the last session you did. And all you have to do is just hit that copy button, and really simply, I'm just going to paste into the menu bar here. You can paste all that data in there. So if I was to, maybe I'll get up a Google Doc just to show you exactly what it looks like here. And so if I take this and I paste it in, all of a sudden those notes are being copied out directly straight from there. And then, or if I refresh the page or if I go on to the next person, you'll see that person's then removed from that queue. So again, you can keep track of all the people and where you are with your notes. But as you saw, it's literally as quick as that, pushing that copy button, which sits just there above the note, and paste it into the section. You've also got an email button here as well, which will pre-fill the email to your clients, but you can also put a comma in there, and you can add multiple email addresses in there. So if you wanted to send it to doctors, to coaches, to trainers that are involved with the people you work with, you can do that. You can also unlock the mobile app, which sends a generic message with the report you send. You can also type your own message in there, and then the PDF will obviously be attached. You don't see that here, but that's attached so people can access those results as well. So again, really quick to be able to share that, not only with your clients, but with everyone else involved with your clients. This last button here, you can also download the PDF report. And you'll see, click of a button, it's downloaded in a second, and then you can drag and drop that wherever you want as well. So you've got the option to add the PDF file into your other systems, or you can just copy that data straight in there. So we think it's a real game changer and really speeds up the workflow. Again, if we sort of go through, we refresh those pages, if we copy that data, and I'll paste it in here again, and then so that all goes in there. You'll see there's a lot more tests done in that session with that particular client. I then refresh the page, or I go back to the next person, and moves on through there as well. You can also select all if you decide, look, there's a lot in there that I don't want to go through, or maybe you've been using the system for a while and you want to start uploading from now. You can just remove all those people in there as well. You can clear that list totally out there. You'll see there's a nice indicator up the session box telling you how many notes you've got there to complete as well. So we think you can get through those notes in a matter of minutes, as I said, not hours. Some of the other unique features in the web portal, which are really nice. So you've got your list of all your clients, which sit in here as well. And you'll come in here, if you click onto your client, and you'll see the same data you saw on the sessions that we just saw before. But you can also then come into each test, and you'll see a visualization of similar to what you see in the app there as well. So if we're coming in here, let's say, for instance, looking at shoulder abduction, you'll see the results over time, and you'll see the graph as well as the injury risk rankings there too. So again, really nice way you can visualize your data another way. Really great way to visualize it and expand it out onto Chromecast and Apple TVs and stuff on big platforms if you're going through the previous results with your patients and clients as well. So something really unique there as well. So really great way. You'll see all the clients there for all the business, and not only your own clients there. You'll also see the same trackers here, which are the clients, the sessions, and the tests across the whole business as well. So you'll see that as a team how well you're going, utilising the Measurz app, and how you're growing your business utilising objective data and all our MAT Measurz testing system as well. Some other things we've got in here in the side menu in the Measurz, you've obviously got the dashboard, which will just take you straight back to this client section here. You've got the link straight to our MAT training portal, and if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for our Measurz training portal. Chances are, if you're already watching this video, you have done that, but if you're watching it on another platform rather than our training portal, make sure you get in there and check that out. You link to our shop so you can get some of the physical products, obviously, to complement your MAT testing to help you collect some data. We've got our feature request portal in there as well, so you can go and see what we're working on. I've got a roadmap there live of what we're working on developing, but also there's a part you can go and request your features that you want as well. And I'm really keen to hear your feedback around that, because we're looking to really build this system for you and help you assess your way. The last thing we've got in here is your help portal, which has got a lot of the questions, the common things that we get asked around the Measurz and our MAT products in general. We also, to get help, we also have this chat button built in as well, which you'll see not only on our website but here. And this has also got the help desk built into it as well. So not only can you get into the team, and we'll usually get back to you within 24 hours, but also you can come into the help portal there and access that as well. So we think it's a really neat and novel way to be able to do that. So I thought I should show you a little bit of this in action and show you exactly how quick it is to be able to perform your assessments and then get the data copied and pasted into your session notes in your other platforms as well. So as you see here, I've already started a session. If I was just to go in and sort of finish off these sessions as you would in sort of real life, just so you can sort of see how it works. So we're going to measure the sort of shoulder external rotation in this case here using the Inclinometer, and I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Okay. When I push end session and end session again, all I'm going to do is come back to this web portal when that's been saved in there, and instantaneously you'll see that that's been added into that session there. Okay, and then all I need to do is I just need to hit this copy button, and I can literally just paste it straight into the notes there. So really is that quick and simple to be able to perform your assessments and get that data where you want it to do. So if you're not already using it, head over to measures.matassessment.com, save it, bookmark it, keep it and pin it as a tab. You'll see I've got tabs pinned here on my Google Chrome browser. Pin that in there as well. Highly recommend you do that. It's going to save you hours each week. In this video, we're going to talk about how you can add team members to your business account so you can share all your clients, your templates, and all your testing results across the whole team so everyone can be on the same page and work with the same clients. Now, you can only create an account and add people into your business if you are the main holder of the account. So if you've signed up for this account, you can add someone into the Measurz app, you can add someone in. If you've been added as a team member, you will not be able to add someone else in. You need the main person who owns the business account to add the people in. So we're going to go through what this looks like now in the app. So if we come into the settings section here by using the hamburger menu on the top left-hand corner, you'll then see there's a section called Manage Team. So if you go into that, and you'll come up here with a list of all your active team members. So as you can see, I've got one team member that's active in there now. We also have an inactive area. This is where your team members will go when you add them for the first time before you activate the subscription for them. And then you've got your archive for your previous team members who aren't on your subscription anymore. Okay, so if I come in here first and just add someone in, so I'm just going to add a generic Measurz team member. I'm just going to pop in a default phone number there. The email I'm going to pop in there is measurzteam1@yotmail.com, just a generic email there. And they're a physiotherapist, so I'm going to add them in. And then if I hit save, it's going to add them into the inactive list. Oh, there should be .com. It's going to add them as an inactive member in the list there. So you'll see if I come into the inactive section, I've got a team member there. Then to activate them to make their subscription live, so you can share all your details and get them set up with their own account and password, which will be sent to them after you've signed them up. You just tap on their name, and at the bottom you push Add Team Member. It'll come up here. If you've got multiple team members you're adding at the same time, you'll just push on all of those different people, and it'll come up here with the total subscription value. And you just hit Pay Now down the bottom. You enter in your credit card details. In this case, I haven't got a live server here, so I'm just going to add in some generic details. And then as I hit pay, that'll process through there. You'll see a big tick once it's approved, and your team members will now be active and will be in the active section. So as this returns back to the home screen, you should see now that Measurz team members joined in there with the Measurz team member already. Okay, so if I click on them, I can see all their details in there. For instance, maybe they're going away on holidays for a couple of months and you want to pause their subscription, or maybe the team members left your business. So what you can do is you can simply sort of swipe to the left and you can archive them. And if you archive them, you hit yes, that's going to take them off the subscription, so you won't get billed for them the next month. And you'll see that they're now in the archive section there. Okay. If you want to, though, you can also reactivate them. So maybe they have gone on long service leave or maternity leave, or maybe just gone away for a month and you want to stop their subscription there. You can simply just swipe across and you can restore their purchase as well. So that will then add them back into the subscriptions there, and they'll go straight back into your active list. So it's really quick, simple and easy to be able to add your team members in there. And once you've done that, as I said, your team members will receive an email welcoming them to the Measurz app, but also giving them a way to create their password to be able to log into the account. Once they do, they'll be able to see all the clients that are in your business, all the templates that are in your business, and you'll be able to start to see all the results that have been done on all the clients previously. So super exciting, really brings the team together, and looking forward to helping you grow your business and your team using the Measurz app. In this video, we're going to discuss how you can create a client in the Measurz app. Now, I highly recommend you set yourself up for success, and even before someone comes into your business, you send them out their intake form and obviously collect their name and email, but also ask for their height and weight, which is going to help you set up their profile before they even step foot in your business and make sure you're ready to go. We've also got some other things in store in the future, which is going to make this even quicker and easier for you than it already is. But let's go ahead and show you how we do that. So you can either do this via the client section in the app or the start testing. So if I go into the client section here, and I'm just going to hit the little person icon in the top right hand corner. And from there, I'm just going to go ahead and enter in the name. I'm going to pop in the email address. It populates that for me there, which is fortunate. Let's go ahead and pop my phone number in there. It's already done that. I'm going to pop in my date of birth. Now, don't tell anyone that I've shown you this, but I'll pop in my date of birth there. And then I'm going to put in my height. Again, this is something else that I don't want you to necessarily share, although it may surprise somewhat some people that I'm maybe not as tall as what I appear on the video. And then I'll pop in my body weight there. And you can see once I've entered in my height, it automatically then adds the arm length and leg length. So arm length, or arm span, sorry, typically is your height. Okay, so we're taking the arm length measurement, as you can see if I click on that button there, from the spinous process of C7 to the tip of the third digit. So that works out 50%. You can obviously go ahead and measure that with your client when you come in to make sure you're getting the most accurate results, as we discussed in the video on measuring arm and leg length. And same thing for the leg length. If you're unsure how to do that, you can jump into that information tab and learn how to do that from the ASIS to the medial malleolus. Sport, I'm going to pop that in. Cricket's my main sport, and I've had some shoulder dislocations in the past. And then all I do is hit save, and you've created your client. As I said, you can create your client in less than 30 seconds there. Really quick, really efficient process, and it's only going to get better as now we're going to talk about measuring arm and leg length. The reason we need to do this is it's going to provide us some valuable data when we're doing tests such as the upper quarter Y balance test and the SAR excursion balance test. So by entering that all in at the start, it makes sure that we get accurate and reliable data. We don't have to worry about it once we perform those tests. Now, we've made it easy for you, as you know, when we create a client, in that we've set it up so it automatically fills the fields. But if you want to make sure your data is even more accurate and reliable, it's often good to measure these things as well. And they do take about 20 seconds each to perform. So it is really quick and simple to be able to perform. Now, if we're looking to measure leg length, the way we do it for the Measurz app is by measuring from the ASIS to the inferior aspect of the medial malleolus, the bony point on the inside of the ankle. So we've got an image built in there into the app that you can use to refer to. It's often when you perform this measurement with either a tape measure, often sort of a metal one, something that doesn't have any stretch is quite useful to have in your toolkit. We're going to talk a bit more about that when we get to girth measurements as well. Or for all our mat users, which hopefully you all are, we've got our Measurz ruler which we can use as well. We just place that on the ASIS and we measure down to the medial malleolus. When we're looking at arm length, it's taken from the C7 spinous process, so finding that at the base of the neck there, to the tip of the third digit with the arm outstretched at 90 degrees, as you can see in there. So really quick measurements to perform. You only need to do one side with that. You can measure arm and leg length if you want to do both sides if you suspect there's some discrepancies as an assessment in the app. But for our reference data, to be able to provide results with our tests and be able to compare to the normative data, you only need to do one side here. So highly recommend you incorporate that as part of your process. As I said, each one only takes about 20 seconds to perform, and it's going to give you more accurate and reliable data. But if you don't have time, we're all time poor, as we know. It's already done for you. It's set to 50% of height, which is traditionally, our arm span is traditionally about our body height, and our leg length is traditionally about 50% of our height as well. So that will give you a reasonably accurate data there. But if you want to make sure you're getting the most accurate data compare, they're the two ways to be able to measure your arm and leg length. I'm confident to say that Measurz is the most complete assessment app in the world, with over 16 different capacities of human function that you can assess with your patients and clients. As you can see in the list here, we've got the 16 capacities. There are some others that we have broken into more general capacities as well that we could include in here too. But these are the 16 main capacities that we'll see. So things like aerobic fitness, we talk about things like recording data for things like the beat test, for the 12-minute Cooper run. We might also have a look at some different time trials. So some different ways we can measure aerobic capacity. Agility, we've got the 505 agility test, things like the agility T test, which are commonly used for knee and sporting individuals. Anaerobic fitness, we're talking about a 400-meter run, for instance, or the RAS test. Anthropometrics, tracking height, weight, muscle girths, different other girth measurements, which are often useful in multiple populations, particularly my favourite when working with younger individuals. Balance and proprioception, the star excursion balance test, my favourite test is part of that. Flexibility, we can use some of the inbuilt tools to measure flexibility, including the inclinometer for all parts of the body. Orthopedic test, we see over 150 different orthopedic assessments in there. If you can't find one that you want in there, make sure you reach out via the feature request and put that in there. And that applies for all the different capacities too. We're always looking for feedback and things that we can do to make Measurz better. So if you have got recommendations around tests that you'd love to see in the app, let us know. Outcome measures. We've got over 20 outcome measures, again, for every part of the body in there to be able to track objectively as well as with some subjective nature in there. And the reason why we love outcome measures in the Measurz app is it allows you to sit there and go through those outcome measures with people rather than just sending them to someone and having them fill in the form and never having a discussion around any of the points. You can have a discussion around those questions and get more context to them just by asking them, having it there on your smart device. Power, we're talking hop test there. Range of motion, all the traditional range of motion that you'll look at, again, utilising things like the inclinometer built into the app. Speed, we can utilise our stopwatches with, so sprint tests. Endurance, talking wall sit holds, we're talking single leg sit to stand. Again, we can also measure with a countdown timer how many you can do in a certain period of time. So another great way we can utilise the testing tools in the Measurz app. Isometric strength, we can utilise our muscle meter, which pairs up and connects in less than a second to the device to get quick, simple isometric strength measures. We're talking then rep and 1 RM measurements. So be able to enter reps in and weight and be able to get a 1 rep max measure or be able to compare to the reps that you did last time. And of course, wellness scores. We're talking sleep quality and quantity. We're talking about mood changes. So all these different capacities, and that's just a brief touch on probably 20 of the tests that are sitting in the app there, but there are over 400 in all these different capacities. And we've made it really easy in the app to filter between them as well. So when you come to our test selection screen, whether you're creating a template or whether you're about to run a session for a client, you can easily come in here and select the different categories that you want to assess. So for me, balance is one of the most under-assessed capacities for the people we work with, really critical for people in all their day-to-day tasks. So for me, I'm going to come and select the ankle and I'm going to come and select balance capacity assessments. And pretty quickly, I can go and then select my favourite test, the star excursion balance test, and really filter down. If I wanted to assess some other capacities around the ankle, once I get those results, I can easily come in there and maybe I want to have a look at some flexibility measures and select those. So we've made it really quick and simple to be able to assess all those 16 capacities and give you the ability to filter down to find what you want really easily in the testing area there or the template area. So hopefully that's a little bit of an insight into the different capacities you can assess. And we're looking forward to hearing your feedback and your feature requests around all those different capacities. Templates are a great way to speed up your workflow with your patients and clients. It's also a great way to standardise assessment across your business with your team. So in this video, we're going to talk about how we create the templates and then how you can use them as part of your assessment process to get started testing in less than 10 seconds. So to create your templates, you need to go into the templates section. Okay, and then in the top right hand corner you'll see the little plus button there. Okay, so we're just going to create a test template here, so just call it test, and we're going to save and continue there. Then I can filter down, so maybe this is a test template around knee assessment. And primarily I want to have a look at some flexibility measures, I want to have a look at some range of motion measures and some power measures with the knee. So I'm going to select the categories there. I'm going to see all the tests related to the knee in those different categories now. Then I can simply go ahead and select the assessments that I want to include as part of that template. So a good place to start is generally range of motion assessments. I'm going to select knee flexion and extension there. And then I'm also going to have a look at one of my favourite and one of the most underutilised assessments, the prone heel to butt test with knee patients. And then I'm going to go for just a straight anterior hop utilising the mat. Okay, and I'm going to save that template. So really quickly and easily, I've created a template and I've saved it, and you'll see it there. You can always go back in via the button in the top right-hand corner and edit your template. To enhance your workflow, you can also push the 3 buttons in the top right-hand corner here, or on Android, you can simply drag them up and down. And here, we're going to drag them up and down to change the workflow. But I actually like it how I've created it there. So if I head back, I'm now going to go into my templates, and I'm going to see that template being built out there of those 4 tests. So I can really quickly go back into that same screen and see the template there. But for me in my workflow to get started really quickly, I want to be able to then add that to my favorites. So I'm going to see that as the first thing I go to when I'm running that, because I'm going to use that template quite regularly with my patients and clients. Okay. Now, if you're uncertain, you're not quite sure where to start, we've created some templates here for you to help get started as well. So even before you go ahead and create your own, you can use our templates to get started really quickly. We've got a few different template types built in there. We've got the quick templates, which are typically 2 to 4 assessments, generally around flexibility, range of motion, or strength using the muscle meter. Okay, so in this case, you can see here for the ankle, our quick template is built around the weight-bearing lunge test utilising the mat, and then ankle dorsiflexion and ankle eversion using the muscle meter, okay, for isometric strength. We've also got some screens built in, which are more thorough assessments to go through, and these will often incorporate more capacities in there. So we've got our quick templates, which are 2 or 3 tests you can do in every session with someone that you work with. The screens are typically a slightly longer one there, where you might allocate a little bit more time for assessment. And then we also have got our more sort of complex or our more full assessments in there, which are typically a whole session that we set up and charge a premium, create a new premium service around. So in this case, this would be the knee session, where in sort of 40 to 60 minutes, you go through all of the different capacities that this individual would need there to be able to assess the things that they need to achieve their goals. So that's how you can utilise our MAT templates. It's also how you can create your own templates and add them to your favourites there. So if I wanted to do one of those full sessions, that was a new service I was going to bring around for all my knee clients, all I'm going to do is swap across there and add it to my favourites, and I'm now going to have access to that. So now I've got a client who's into the clinic. So I'm going to start testing. I'm going to utilise one of these templates. So I'm going to go ahead and just select myself there. I'm going to perform this assessment. I'm going to hit start testing. And then instead of selecting the tests one by one, I'm going to click testing templates, and I'm going to select my knee assessment. I can see all the different things that I'm going to do there in the session and get started straight away. As I said, the templates allow you to get started testing in less than 10 seconds. So I highly recommend you get in there and start to create some of your own. Pick one, create one template for one area of the body or one patient or client type, and start utilising that. And then once you start to get the hang of creating these templates, or if you need to modify them quickly, at least you've got a base few assessments to start from. So if I come back here again, I'm going to select a quick template this time. So I'm going to go and just select the quick ankle screen that we saw before. And so maybe I've gone ahead and done all of those, and I've got some information there, but I want to be able to get some more information. I'm going to easily select the edit button, and I'm going to go through and find my favourite test, the star excursion balance test, which was neglected there. So I'm going to filter down by the ankle, the part of the body, and then the capacity, and I'm going to add that to the testing queue as well. So I don't have to go ahead and select all the different tests that I want to run in that session with someone, or that I may have already run, but I can quickly go ahead and modify that testing queue, or add 1 or 2 new tests in to get some more information as well. So that's a really quick way that you can go ahead and start to utilize testing templates. I'm really looking forward to, in the Measurz community, seeing your testing templates and sharing your examples. So make sure if you are going ahead and you're creating some templates and using them with your clients, don't be afraid to share them with others, because I'd love to learn from you and see how you're using the Measurz app. We're going to talk about all the data you can collect with the Measurz app and go deep diving into the results screen. The results screen's been in particularly designed for your clients as much as for you and your team. The reason is we want to enhance the communication, which we found that previous systems out there on the market just don't allow you to communicate the results meaningfully with your patients and clients. Now, you'll see that I've got a session review up here. So this is what you see after you've run a session. You can go back and have a look at all the data and explain that to your patients and your clients. So you'll see initially you've got the notes. This is all been done via voice to text. So I've set up all this and completed these notes using the voice to text function. It works really well and it can save you hours in your week. So I highly recommend, if you haven't used it yet, that you start using voice to text to do your notes. You'll save a lot of time in your week. It'll free it up for some other more important things. Now, we're going to have a look, maybe deep dive first into the Y balance test, because it gives us a good overall view of all the features that we'll see across some of the other tests on the results screen. So when you come into the results screen here, you'll see obviously the name of the test there, and then you'll see the different reaches in different tabs across the top of the screen. So you can navigate just by clicking those tabs and have a look at the different data points and metrics for each of those different reaches. So in this case, we're just going to have a look at the anterior one, so I've selected that there. Now you'll see on all the results screens, minus the orthopedic tests, and that there's a graph over time. And in this case, we're obviously looking at centimetres of reach for each of those. Now you can see this test has been completed multiple times. As you can see, 4 data points in there. So it's really nice to be able to track that progression over time of the pink being the left leg and the right being and the blue being the right leg. You'll see below the graph, we've got some normative or reference data in there. Now, this is from specific populations in the research, so it's not necessarily going to apply to every single person that walks in through your door, but it's in there as a reference for you to give you a starting point to be able to have some meaningful conversations with the people you're working with. And there's a lot more evidence and numbers in this training portal that you can go through and have a bit of a look and understand the populations that was gathered with this particular data that we're showing in the app. So if you're seeing people who maybe don't fall within the norms, we'll get down to that very shortly. It's not necessarily that they're not at a bad level. It's just that they're maybe not suitable for that population there as well. So unfortunately, we can't put every specific data in. And the research, there just isn't data on every single population out there. But we're hoping with the Measurz app that we can help maybe build some of that data and some of that research to help enhance our decision making and get better outcomes for people all around the world. So we've got our normative data there. You'll then see there's a percentage of leg length box. And this is why it's really important to set up your leg length percentage when you create a client, because this is going to be used to automatically calculate a percentage of the reach distance based on the leg length. And so you can see here, you can see the numbers as a percentage of leg length, so 58% and 61% there. And then the little green tabs underneath the data, that's the change since last session. So if you see that in any of the results, that's going to show you what the change has been since the last time you tested them. So in this case, the left leg's gone up 5.5% since last time, and the right leg's gone up 1.7%. Now you'll see there's some little tabs giving you some guidance above that data there, which the left being high and the right being high. And that's because it falls below those norms of 95% of leg length. So obviously they're at 58 and 61% of leg length. When we look at the normative data for the anterior reach, we should be up around that sort of 95% of leg length there. So that's just how you can sort of start to use that data and communicate it. And then obviously below we've then got an asymmetry graph. which is also based on the reference or normative data. So in this case, we can see that greater than 4 centimetres difference is a higher risk of injury. So you can see in this case, they're in the green section on the asymmetry graph because they're 3 centimetres difference. So they're in that lower potential risk, I guess, of injury section there. Again, give you some indication about when you might want to take action with these particular patients and clients that you're working with, and allows us to be able to communicate that really easily to the people we work with as well. So that's a bit of an example of all the different types of data that you may see on the screen. Let's go and have a look at all the different categories so we can get a bit better understanding, I guess. So the aerobic fitness data is quite basic. So you've just got the graph. In this case, we're looking at the time trial for 1 kilometre. So we've got a graph in minutes here, and the change, and showing that sort of change on the graph between those 2 sessions that have been done. And then underneath the graph, you get your reference value or your recent value for what they did in that particular testing session. If there were some notes done for that, so if you had some written some notes in your test, you'd also see that there as well. So quite straightforward when we look at the time trial. Let's have a look at the agility T test. So if you're not familiar with all these particular tests, and obviously there's over 400 in the Measurz app, this is the training portal, is the perfect place, and you've got all of those below. So here in the agility test, you can see that they had 11 seconds on the first one, and then they're at 10.5 on the second session. You can see the recent value there. So it's displayed very similarly to what we saw with the aerobic fitness there. There's not enough normative data in different populations, so we haven't put that in there yet. But you'll see as the app evolves that we've got some grand plans to increase that reference data and make it even more specific to the people that you're working with as well. So we've got something there for you to start based on the best available literature and research that we have to date at the minute, but it's going to get better as we go. If we have a look at the 400 metre run, so an anaerobic based test, again, you can see the time in seconds for that and the change. So obviously this, normally you'd see it decreasing, you'd be thinking, well, that's not a good thing. Actually, when we're talking about sort of anaerobic fitness in the 400 metre, obviously the lower we go, the quicker we're getting, the better our anaerobic fitness is, which is fantastic. Now, our anthropometrics, in this case, we're looking at thigh girth. So you can see there's been a little bit of an increase on the left side, and the right's stayed the same. So you can see that graph pretty nicely there. And then you can obviously see the asymmetry between sides. So we know we want to be less than 2 centimetres difference between sides. So that keeps us in the green zone, reference zone there. So now we're going to skip ahead to the weight bearing lunge test, as we've already done the Y balance test, and have a look at that. So you'll see there's some tabs at the top of this screen, which are a little bit different, which we haven't seen so far. And again, this is some reference data or some sort of guides, I guess, compared to normative data. So in this case, we've got the left being average, the right being above. You might also see below as red there as well. So when we look at the norms for this test that we can see below the graph, it's 10 to 12 centimetres. So the left being 12 centimetres is obviously sitting at average, and the right sitting at 17 there. We're sitting above that 12 centimetre norm. We can see that on the asymmetry graph as well. Obviously, there's a big difference between sides there. So given that there is a big difference between sides, we know we want it to be less than 2 centimetres difference. That's potentially indicating that maybe we need to help this client out and take some action to improve those results. Now, there's obviously a big difference there, and there's been a drop since last session, and so this is where we can have a look, which is hidden away, at our pain metric there as well. So it gives us some more context around the data, because if I go back and have a look at that result in 6 months' time, I'm not going to necessarily know why there was a big drop off there, but being able to tap on that and get some context around that and say, okay, this person had 4 out of 10 pain, and they've sprained their ankle in that sort of week, that potentially explains that result, some data too. You can also then compare, post, exercise or post treatment, exactly what the changes are due to. So maybe you decrease the pain, and then we see that range of motion increase significantly. It gives us some more context around our decision making and what we're doing with the people that we work with. So that's a really neat feature, and that's hidden in all the graphs there. When we have a look at our orthopaedic test, in this case we're looking at the anterior draw test of the knee. It's a simple negative, positive, or unsure. Okay, so that's going to display there, and you'll see each of the testing results there displayed over time. You'll also see the notes, which again have been added in there using voice to text, which is really quick and easy. When you have a look at the prone heel to butt test, our flexibility test, it's displayed very similarly to the weight bearing lunge test. So in this case, obviously you can see some big changes in that graph over time. Both are sitting in the average zone. We know the average one to sort of 2 centimetres from your bottom. Okay, so in this case, there's no asymmetry there, and they fall into the average zone in regards to norms. So again, really easy, quick to visualize through there. We have a look at our speed test. In this case, a sprint test. It's displayed very similar to those aerobic and anaerobic tests, where you've got your graph over time and you've got your recent values in there. There is some normative data in there as well. When we have a look at our endurance test, so something like a single leg wall sit, again, we get those reference tabs at the top there comparing to norms, and we get the asymmetry graph there, again, telling us maybe whether we need to take action with that individual. So these are just guides, as we said, to put in there to help your decision making and when you may do something. So not every person will fit into these populations, but it's a good guide to start from, and it'll only get better over time. When we have a look at our isometric test, so obviously this is using our muscle meter, again, you'll get a nice graph over time of those reference points and what happened in that session. You'll see the asymmetry percentage there. So in this case, we can see the raw figures being 62 and 60 kilos, which is 3% difference. We know we want to be less than a sort of 10 to 15% difference there. So that's what falls into those different orange and red zones. And then we can see as a percentage of body weight and compare to norm. So we can see our normal knee extension should be 60 to 74% of body weight in the populations that we've used for that reference data. And so in this case, we're seeing 90 and 93% of body weight. So both of those are showing as above average there. And we can see since the last session that we tested, the left side's gone up 50% and the right side's gone up 24%. So really clear for your clients to see exactly what's happened since last session and the effectiveness of what you're doing and working with them to keep them engaged in the process to reach their long-term goals. Our last category that we look at is sort of for our rep testing, which is looking at the single leg hamstring raise endurance. So in this case, we can see our sort of reps that we've done there, and we can also see the percentage difference between sides there as well. And obviously that's falling below the normative range, so that's where you see those red tabs, reference tabs above, and also they're falling to the red with the asymmetry because we want that to be less than 10% difference there side to side. So it gives you some nice reference data too. I've just realised that I've forgotten one in here, so I'm going to go and have a look at the 1 rep max. So I skipped past that one, which again is a single leg extension, similar to what we did with the muscle meter for the isometric strength. But in this case, we've got the 1 rep max calculator built in. So you can use a leg extension machine in a gym environment and perform a number of reps, and then you can put the weight in for that particular test. And then what our app will do, we'll do a calculation of 1 rep max, and you can see that down in the asymmetry graph and in the 1RM box down the bottom, where they've been able to generate 55 kilos on the left, 58.3 kilos as their 1RM on the right. So they've moved, in this case, probably something around 50 kilos for 2 to 5 reps there. Okay, and we can see the asymmetry between sides for their 1 rep max is 5.7%. So falls less than that 10% difference. So again, without having to get a rep max calculator out, it's all done for you, and it allows us to standardise those differences. I know for me that was one of the big things. I've always loved machine-based testing, so things like the single leg press, single leg extension, leg curl, calf raises. But being able to get some normative data was often, and be able to compare over time in previous sessions was really difficult. So being able to calculate the amount of reps, utilising the weight, and then being able to check that over time is a really useful thing to be able to do with your patients and clients there. So that's gone through all the different tests and the results screen there. Hopefully that gives you a little bit better insight into it, and we'll go more specifically into these as we go through the different tests in the training portal. As you know, we've designed Measurz to allow you to get starting in less than 10 seconds, and we've built in lots of shortcuts to try and speed up your workflow right through the app. So in this video, we're going to go through some of those and show you some ways you can really get the most out of Measurz and get it done really quickly. Now, I know we've already talked about the templates and add to favorites, but I'm just going to include that in this video as well, so you get a reference point there too. So as you know, if you've got a template, you can just go and swipe to the left, and you can add that to your favorites. Adding templates to your favorites means when you go to select a template, it's there. So your most used templates you can select, and you can get started straight away. So it's a really great way to be able to utilize the templates you've created, or even our MAT templates if you like to use those, and allow you to get testing really quickly. So I highly recommend, from a shortcut point of view and time saving, create your own templates and then add them to your favorites, so you can get started testing straight away. Templates are the way to really speed it up. You may modify them, but it makes it really quick to do if you've already got a base there to set and select. Especially on the first session that you're doing with people. Often, beyond the first session, you'll already have some tests in there that you'll want to just rerun the session, which we'll go into now. But having a template for the first session really means that first experience for people when they interact with you and with the measures and data for the first time is a really positive one. When we get into our testing is where the shortcuts become really helpful. So on the client screen here, we can either swipe to the right, we can delete the client, which often we're not going to want to do, but the option is there to do that. Or we can swipe to the right and we can run a test. And we get straight into the session screen here. Then to start testing, we can really quickly and simply do two things. We can either swipe to the left, and on the iOS, you can just keep swiping all the way across and that'll rerun the session. Or you can swipe across and you can actually tap that button, okay? And if you tap that, it just goes back and runs the same session that you did last time. So really quickly and easily, you can get into testing and retest the same stuff that you did in the last session. You also swipe right here and you can delete the session too. So if you've got some data in there or a session that you don't want to keep, you can get rid of that to make it really nice and neat as well. The other thing you can do on this session screen is you can swipe across and you've got the report function there. So you can send the report to someone too. So just by clicking that mail icon, you can then share your report. And again, literally in the space of about 10 seconds or so, depending on the amount of data and tests that you've run. As you can see there's only one test done. That took about 3 or 4 seconds to send. The PDF's sent to your client with an email as well. So a really quick way to be able to get that data. I highly recommend you send this stuff to people. They love it. They love seeing their results. They love seeing the progress over time. It keeps them engaged. From a business point of view as well, it's fantastic because they then often go and take those reports and show their friends and family the progress they're making. So I highly recommend if you send that each session to someone, it'll keep them more engaged in the process. And hopefully it's something that will allow you to grow your business as well through more referrals. So I highly recommend that. So if we go back to then rerun the session, we come in there and then we've got the different tests built in. Now, if I wanted to go back and add some more tests in, I can do that. And then to speed up my workflow, so now I've got 3 tests in there, but maybe I want to test the first toe isometric strength before I do the sprint test where I'm going to have to go outside. So all I can do is I can click the 3 lines next to the edit or add test function there, and I can drag that to the top. And so if you set up your templates or you set up your sessions in the order that you're going to perform, again, it's going to make it more streamlined. You're going to get things done a lot quicker as well. So I highly recommend as you create your templates, you think about how you're going to perform them and you go and modify it there as you start to learn things as you get into using the Measurz app a little bit more, because it'll let you get started there a lot quicker too. And on every screen so far, you've seen you can swipe right to delete. So again, in a session screen, you can delete a test from that too. So maybe I don't want to do that sprint test today. I'm just going to delete that. Maybe I'm going to go ahead though, and I'm going to run this isometric toe strength with the toe extension strength with the muscle meter, and I'm going to perform that. So once you've done the test, you might go away and then do some treatment or some training, and you then want to reassess it within the session. You can quickly just swipe across and you can duplicate the test. And what that's going to do, it's going to re-add it to the bottom of the queue. So you can go then and then compare to what happened earlier in that session. And so if I go and then put some data in there and hit save and view result, pretty quickly I'm going to see that change within session as well. So you can not only track progress over days, weeks, months and years, but you can also track progress within the session as well to help your decision making on what you're doing with your patients and clients. So really nice way to be able to streamline things. So as you can see there's a lot of shortcuts built into the Measurz app to help get started. Just have a play around, swipe left and right on all the different areas. You'll find there's lots of interactive things in there to help you get the most out of the app. Now, I know I've mentioned this feature in different videos already, but I thought it deserved its own video because it's such an amazing feature that can save you so much time in your week. And that's using the voice to text function. I highly recommend if you're not using it, you start using it. I guarantee it'll save you at least 2 hours in your week doing your notes for your patients and clients. So I thought in this video I'll show you how it works. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to add a note in there with a history section, with an exercise section and a plan section, so you can get an idea of how it works. Now, it's not 100% perfect. You might have to go back and modify 1 or 2 little things as you, to fix up the voice to text, but it's getting better and better and better. And if you can understand my thick Australian accent, it's definitely going to understand yours probably much better than mine. So here we go. So all I'm going to do here is just hit the microphone button in the bottom right hand corner here on the iOS app, and we're going to start to record it. History, semicolon. Brett's calf strength has been improving and he now has no pain running. Next paragraph. Exercises, semicolon. Today we did single leg calf raises 3 times 10. Next paragraph. Plan, semicolon. Retest Brett's single leg calf strength. Not bad, hey? So pretty quickly there, in the space of 30 seconds, I've done all my notes. It'll take me much longer to type that out. And you can imagine if you've got some really extensive notes that you need to do with your patients and clients, how much time that's going to save you. I think that did pretty well there. So we're going to save those. You can also use this function for the notes in the test as well. So in this case, we're going to do our single leg calf raise. And then I'm going to say, still weak in the left leg, but no pain today. Again, really easy. You can get that information in there and we can move on. So by the time you get to the end of the session, you should have no notes left to do. So rather than being stuck at the end of your day with a full list of notes that you have to do for your patients and clients, it's all done and you can quickly then export it from the web portal and put it into other systems, that you use, either patient management, client management, athlete management systems, if you wish to. Otherwise, it's all safely stored there on our secure Measurz servers for whenever you need to refer to it. A common question we get asked around the Measurz app is, can we send our clients reports? And the answer is, of course. It's really simple to do, and you can do it after you complete your session or any time in the app. It's simple as going to the session screen, which is where you end up after you've completed your testing session with that client for that particular session, where you can go in and view all the tests that you've done there. And if I decided I wanted to send this session to my patient or client, all I do is I just go back to the session, select the session that I want, and hit the little mail or envelope button there. It'll then ask me, do I want to share the session report? And I push yes. And it takes, usually somewhere between 3 and 10 seconds, depending on how much data has been collected in that session, to be able to send a report, as you can see there, happening in real time. So as you can see, really quick, simple to be able to send the report to your data, and I highly, to your clients, and I highly recommend you send the data from the sessions to your clients. It creates a great experience for your clients, helps educate them more, but also it's something that they're likely to take away and show their friends, families, and the other people who are working with them towards their goals as well, which then obviously is a great result and a great outcome for your business in generating hopefully new clients coming in through your door. So hopefully that answers your question how you send reports. Make sure you get started. In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can use the Inclinometer with your flexibility and range of motion test to be able to measure angles and degrees for those particular tests. So you'll see here I've got the weight bearing lunge test up, and we know that we can measure angulation or degrees with it, as well as measuring the distance utilising the mat. And so we're going to use our smart device here with Measurz on it to be able to collect some range of motion data on the inclination of the tibia. So we're going to place this smart device on the front of the tibia as we teach in our MAT courses. Now, to utilise all the in-app testing features, you've obviously got the play buttons there, which allow you to activate the feature. So in this case, I'm going to hit the play button on the left leg there, and it's going to bring up the inclinometer. And then all I do is simply hit the play button, and then the device and the inclinometer starts to work. It'll always reset itself to 0. So providing you're on a flat surface, which I think I am here, might be a little bit off. So apologies if you're watching this video and it's a little bit crooked. And then all you do is you tilt it sort of on the angulation for the particular body part that you're measuring. So in this case, it would be on the tibial inclination. And then once you're sort of at that maximum point, you just hit stop, and it'll save it there. And then all you do is you hit save, and then that populates it in the testing results area there. You can do the same, obviously, on the other side, or you can also manually enter the data. So if you have got another way that you want to do it, you can also manually enter in that data, and that can be a nice way to do it as well. Okay, but highly recommend using Inclinometer feature built in there. It's quick, it's simple, it's easy, and it's accurate and reliable for the patients and clients that you work with. In this video, we're going to be talking about the stopwatch feature, which you'll find primarily utilised with the agility and speed test, but it'll also be utilised with some other tests in the app to be able to measure time. So you'll see you've got the play activation button here on the time for the 10-metre sprint test. So I'm just going to push that play button. Okay, and then to get the stopwatch started, when you start the test, you on a simple count of 3, 2, 1, go, you'll have your patient or client start the particular test, and you start the stopwatch. And then to stop the stopwatch or pause it, you hit the pause or play button. If that's the final result that you want to utilise, then you can just hit the save, and then that'll populate it. If you want to reset that and start the test again, maybe there's been an error occur with your patient or client in testing, you can also just use the reset button like I just did there, and start it again. And then as soon as you finish, you can then hit save, and you get your results populated that you can then compare to results over the previous testing. This feature is built out of my inability to count reps. And I know a lot of other therapists and trainers out there have trouble counting reps. So by the time that you finish your testing, you've often forgotten how many reps they've done. So this is a quick and simple way that you can keep engaged in the testing process, but still get accurate and reliable data regarding the amount of reps that someone's done. So in this case, we're looking at the single leg sit to stand, which we know can be often over 20 reps in results. So that can often get quite challenging and to remember, especially when you're engaged in the test for a period of time. So to activate this on the left leg, all I do is I hit the plus button there, and then the rep counter comes up. And then really simply and easily, I can then hit the plus button, okay? And I can be talking away like I'm doing now, and counting reps and not have to worry about it. So I get that sort of feedback. The rep goes up each time that I push the button. And then as soon as I finish the test, all I do is hit save, and then that populates the results, and I can start the other side. So a really neat, novel feature there to ensure that you never miss a rep again. In this video, we're going to discuss the built-in 1 rep max calculator. The reason we built this in is to make it really easy to help you get a standardized measure for someone when they're performing rep testing. So for instance, when we look at the app in this example, we're performing a single leg extension. And so it's often hard to compare one leg to another, especially over time if you're using different weights and you're getting different repetitions. So being able to standardize and reference something to 1 repetition at maximum means we can actually have a direct point that we can compare over time. So for instance, if I had someone sitting on a leg extension machine now and they could perform 10 reps on the left leg and 12 on the right, and they were moving 50 kilos, what the calculator will do will then provide a value which would be hypothetically what someone could lift for 1 repetition maximum, meaning they couldn't lift any more or perform any more repetitions with that particular weight. So in this case, when we put those calculations in, the calculator does its work for us, which is quite nice, and it says that we're able to do 66.7 kilos on the left and 70 kilos on the right. So we can obviously see that track there over time versus previous sessions, and we get a really nice direct comparison to that. So previously we may have used a slightly lighter weight and perform some more reps, but it really allows us to compare apples with apples when we're talking about that sort of 1 rep max data point there. So as you can see on the asymmetry percentage graph, there's only 4.7% difference between sides on that 1 rep maximum. So again, it makes it really easy for us to compare between legs, which often isn't the case if we're performing, say, 6 repetitions on one side and 12 on the other. There's often looks like there's a big difference. When we then start to extrapolate out to the 1 rep max, in certain cases with different weights, it actually may not be that big a difference at all, and may not be significantly meaningful for that individual. In the bottom box, we get the direct comparison of obviously the 1 rep maximum there, but we also get the little indicator bar below to show the change since the last session. So again, you can really quickly and easily get a direct comparison, not only between legs, but towards the last session, both in a percentage and in a nice visualization of the graph over time. So I highly recommend you use this test when you perform any machine-based testing or when you're using any rep testing, particularly with external weight. It's a really useful metric to be able to provide you more accurate and reliable data. In this video, we're going to talk about a novel tool, and that's our countdown timer with rep counter built in. So for instance, in a test like this push-up in 1 minute, so essentially how many push-ups can you do in 1 minute, we can know exactly how long to go in the test and make sure that the time is being accounted for, as well as counting reps and stay engaged with the person. So all I simply do is I start the countdown timer with this particular test on the cue of go when my patient or client's supposed to start the test. So in this case, they're doing push-ups as fast as they can, and as we're going through this, I'm just counting reps to be able to measure exactly how many reps they've done in that time frame. So again, I can stay engaged, I can stay motivating and still get accurate, reliable data with this particular test. Some examples of this, you may also want to standardize a metronome for this particular test. So you can also click the metronome button and add that in as well and set a tempo for this particular time that you want someone to be able to keep the tempo as well. So there's different examples to that, and we'll get to that in the certain test later in the training portal itself. You'll notice here, once it gets down to under 10 seconds, you'll start to hear a countdown beep as well. So it starts to give your clients some urgency. They can know how long to go. So it's often good to cue that in advance so they know when they get that beep that there's 10 seconds remaining. And then all you do once you've counted the reps in that particular time, you hit save and you get your results. Simple as that. Accurate, reliable, and reproducible data can be difficult. And that's why we built in this next feature, our metronome, into the testing process. This helps you standardize your assessment and make sure next time you go back and perform the same assessment that you're getting the same results. So the metronome is hidden in the top right-hand corner of the screen. So if I just push the metronome button there, you'll see that the metronome drops down, this time into the rep counter. And then simply I can hit the plus buttons or slide the slider bar up to set the tempo that I want to run that particular test in. And so all I do is then hit the play button and you'll start to hear a metronome beat. Okay? And then I can count the reps done alongside that when my patient's doing something like a single leg squat or a single leg calf raise, for instance, might be 2 tests that you might utilize this particular feature. And then to turn it off, I just simply can pause that and I can save my results. You'll also see on this testing screen it's built in as well. So for other tests which don't use some of the other testing tools like the rep counter or the countdown timer, you can still use the metronome, which will then, you push the metronome button, comes to the bottom of the screen, and again you'll have that testing data there to be able to standardize your assessment processes. So a really neat tool to be able to utilize and standardize your testing. And when we go through all the individual tests in the training portal, you'll see some examples of some tempos that are often useful to use for particular tests. Watching this video, I'm guessing you haven't attended one of our MAT courses yet, either online or live in person. As if you had have attended one of these courses, you'd already know where the answer to this question. And so our MAT tools provide you a great environment to be able to perform over 50 of the different assessments that are included in our courses and that you can perform with the Measurz app. And so what the MAT allows you to do is allows you to measure in all 3 dimensions, both distance, angulation and verticality of pretty much every movement that your patient or client would want to perform in their day-to-day tasks. And you can perform lots of standardized tests from the literature that are included in the Measurz app here. The MAT is also really portable, so you can take it out to your different sporting clubs, to your gyms, and use it as part of your lead generation sessions, as well as to take up a really small footprint in your room, in your business, where you can get data in all 3 dimensions in a really small environment. If you're lucky enough to have a bit bigger space, that's where the MegaMAT comes in. You can perform most of the same tests that you can with the MAT on it, but you can measure all 3 dimensions really quickly and easily without needing to change the body position. So potentially for certain tests, it's a little bit quicker. But I also say to people when they ask me, should I get the MegaMAT for assessment? It's a great tool, and yes, it's a great tool for assessment, but the MAT is often the best place to start if you're looking to standardise your assessment, and that's why I include one for free with all of our MAT courses, both the live face-to-face and the online ones. The hop mat's a fantastic tool. Again, it's portable. You can take it out to your sporting clubs and perform all your hop tests. Or if you've got a 6 meters of space in your gym environment or in your business, you can also pop that down and perform all the different hop tests in there, especially things like the anterior, the triple hop for distance, the crossover hop for distance, and the medial and lateral triple hop test as well. So they're really fantastic to be able to do those tests, which require a bit more space and are really important for some of those particular clients and athletes who, if you're working in those sorts of populations. So I'm going to pop the links below if you're looking at those products and head over to our shop. But I highly recommend, if you haven't done our MAT courses, you'll get the most out of the Measurz app by doing that, because we walk through step by step how to utilize the Measurz app with all of those 50 different tests in the session, so you can be really proficient with it. If you've got a team and you're looking to try and upskill everyone in the business, we also do run in-house training sessions, whether that's online or face-to-face, where we can make it more specific to your individual needs in your business and really help you hit the ground running. In this video, we're going to discuss the normative or reference data that's included in the app, as well as the injury risk rankings. Now, there are some limitations with this. Given we don't have data in every population, in every client type, for every different part of the body, we provide the best available data that we have at the time to you to help improve your decision making, give you somewhere to start with your reasoning with your particular clients. It's also a really good guide to be able to enhance communication and utilise with your patients and clients when you have a discussion around their results. But just be aware, there are limitations that the data provided in the app may not be, or may be from a very different population to the particular client that you're working with. So how the normative or reference data is displayed in the app is often in little tiles or indicators. So you can see in the leg length percentage box there, we've got a left being high and a right being high. So this is saying the left leg is potentially a high need of an intervention or something to be done to it, because the risk is a little bit higher than normal compared to what we see in the normative data. And then obviously the right falls into the same category. And so in this case, it's comparing to the norms we see in the normative data, or the norm section there, where this particular reach on the Y balance test, the posterolateral, should be around 95 or more than 95% of someone's leg length. So when we compare the distance reached in this assessment to their leg length, they're falling at 70 and 75% of that, which is below the tolerance point of around 10% that we've allocated in the app for that. So again, this doesn't mean this is necessarily going to lead to someone getting injury or that we can predict injuries. It just gives you a starting point to be able to identify maybe some of the times where you want to be able to maybe make some modifications or try and improve these testing results to hopefully get some better long-term outcomes for the people that you're working with. So this will be shown like this in this data. It'll also be shown in other tests as above, average, or below, meaning that the results are above average, they're average, or they're below average. And again, these tabs, they're often shown at the top of the screen, will give you some further indication where they sit compared to normative data as well. So again, this just highlights to you particular times where you might want to start to make some changes to the particular results that you're seeing. What we also see in the asymmetry bars, whether that's compared to the raw data or the asymmetry bars as a percentage, is we've got a green, we've got an orange, and we've got a red section. And what this allows us to do is the same thing. So green typically means they fall at less than 10% difference, or in this case, it would be less than 2 centimeters difference when we, less than 4 centimeters difference, sorry, when we look at the normative data that you can see there. Because this results 5 centimeters difference, they fall into that intermediate zone there in that orange category. Whereas, look, we potentially want to start to do something with this individual because they're falling outside what we typically expect or would like to see, which is less than 4 centimeters difference in their reach distance. Obviously, if they're falling more than 6 centimeters, they'd move into the higher risk category there. So again, these are just reference points to give you some guide to start with and to start to flag things with you. Okay, as we learn more from the literature and research, as we continually update the app with the latest data, this will get better and better. And I'm really excited that hopefully we'll start to see over the coming years that this will improve significantly. I know at MAT, when we first started talking about objective data utilising our data-driven approach back in 2014 now, so almost 10 years ago now. We weren't seeing any of this data there. There was very limited information and research, but it's come on leaps and bounds, particularly in the last 3 to 4 years, where we're really hoping to see some more meaningful data around lots of different patient and client populations to make your job easier and to help us all get better outcomes for the people we work with. In this video, we're going to discuss something that's often talked about a lot in the profession, but isn't often utilised, often because it's quite clunky to perform. It's not intuitive and easy to interpret the results, and performing these don't create a meaningful conversation, which is why we've set up outcome measures in the Measurz app a little bit differently to how they're typically done, either on a bit of paper, which isn't interactive at all, or sent to someone remotely where they fill it in when they're not with you, and then you have a look at the total results, and often don't go much further beyond that when you're performing outcome measures. So in the app currently we've got over 30 outcome measures built into it that you can start to get using for all parts of the body, and there's some other more general things in there which you'll see in the list here. So as I sort of scroll down, as you can see, there's a number of outcome measures in there for all parts of the body. You can obviously filter that down by body part as well to help you select the outcome measure that you want to select there. We're going to choose the SPADI, the Shoulder Pain and Disability Index, as we go through it here. So as you can see, it gets added to your test list or test queue exactly like any other test that you're going to perform. What you'll do in this case though with this is you're going to hand it over to your clients. The reason we do that is so we can sit there with our clients and actually have a meaningful discussion around these outcome measures and questions, rather than, as I said, sending them to someone remotely, they fill it in, you don't get any context. In my personal opinion, the beauty of using outcome measures is the conversations it can create. It can often give you a great place to go to some of the key things you need to address or the key limitations someone's having in their day-to-day activities, or set up a fantastic assessment knowing the things that they're struggling with and that you need to assess more thoroughly. So I highly recommend you start using the outcome measures with your clients, and as you're going through, ask some questions as they put in the answer to each of these things as well. It'll help you get a lot more information than you're currently getting from your history with the people that you're working with. So as you'll see in the outcome measures, like you'll see with tests such as the start excursion balance test, where there's multiple tabs across the top, there's multiple capacities or things measured in these outcome measures as well. So you'll see there's 2 different categories with the SPADI here. So we just have our client go through and they sort of answer questions, in this case around their pain sort of severity. So I'm just going to go through here and complete those first 5 questions in category 1. And then you'll see as soon as I finish category 1, it'll automatically go into the next one. The reason we've got these categories is these are the things you'll see in the outcome measures that you'll want individual results with as well. So at the end, once I finish this outcome measure, you're going to see a total score, but you're also going to see a score for each of these categories as well that you can track the progression over time, which is the benefit of using this app. It's a really intuitive way to be able to track that progression over time and see it visually and show your patients and clients how they're improving. So I'm going to go through and just put some answers in for these so we can get a score here. So as I go through and finish all these, instantly, like all the other tests in the app, you'll get a result spat out. So you'll see a result for total score, okay? So you can see the change over time with here. Well, hopefully we're not getting that go up normally, but you'll see that sometimes does happen as well, unfortunately, and that's the great beauty of having data. It means we need to change something if that's the case, okay? What we're doing is not helping our people reach their goals. And then across the top, like you'll see in the other tests, like the start excursion balance test is one that we mentioned. You can see that in this case, their pain severities, has gone down, which is potentially a good thing. But the disability index actually unable to do more things. Okay, so again, that's a useful thing because that's going to change the way that your management of the people you work with. All right, so really easy way to be able to perform that. And as I said, when you're performing these things, if someone comes in here and they're having difficulty removing something from their back pocket, again, it creates a conversation around it. So I highly recommend you sit there and don't just let your clients fill these in. Actually sit there, ask some questions about it, because you'll be surprised about the results you can get.